Okay, in this video we will learn about evaporation. So what is evaporation? Evaporation is the process by which we can convert a liquid into vapor, okay, or into gas. So the conversion from liquid to vapor or gas is known as evaporation. See, we also know that the changing of liquid into gas is also known as boiling, right? But here you need to know one thing, that evaporation is not only the changing of liquid to vapor. If we change the liquid into vapor below the boiling point, that is called as evaporation. Okay, but in case of boiling, what we were doing, we need a certain temperature, that is boiling point, after which we will see vaporization will occur, right? But here what we can see, we can see that we can convert a liquid even below the boiling point by using evaporation. Okay, so what is evaporation? Evaporation is the process of a liquid changing into vapor even below its boiling point, right? Okay, now we can see whatever be the temperature at which evaporation takes place. So we don't need any type of boiling point, etc., etc. We can do evaporation at any temperature. Now we can see that the latent heat of vaporization must be supplied, but it is a condition that we have to supply the latent heat of vaporization. You already know what is the latent heat of vaporization, right? What is latent heat? I think you already know, right? So what we need, we don't need any kind of boiling point or anything, but what we need, we have to supply the latent heat of vaporization. So whatever be the temperature, evaporation can take place, and the latent heat of vaporization must be supplied whenever a liquid changes into vapor. Okay, so you have to remember this one. Now we can see the process of evaporation can be explained as follows. See, some particles in a liquid always have more kinetic energy than the others. We know the kinetic energy in liquid, the kinetic energy of the particles is low as compared to the kinetic energy of the particles in gas, right? But you have to know that some particles in liquid always have more kinetic energy than the average kinetic energy. What is average kinetic energy? Average kinetic energy is the kinetic energy of all the liquid particle. But some of the liquid particles will be such that their kinetic energy will be greater as compared to the other liquid particle. So what will happen, even when the temperature is even below the boiling point, some liquid will always be vaporized. There will be sufficient kinetic energy to overcome the intermolecular force of attraction, right? They can break the intermolecular force of attraction and can be converted into what? Gas from liquid. Okay, so this is the reason behind evaporation. I think it is clear. Now we can see what is written here is that the process of evaporation can be explained as follows. Some particles in a liquid always have more kinetic energy than the others. So even when a liquid is well below its boiling point, but we have already said that we need not any type of boiling point to reach so that we can convert a liquid into vapor. No, we don't need that. We can convert a liquid into vapor at any temperature, and this is known as evaporation. Okay, so you can see some of its particles have enough energy to break the forces of attraction between the particles and escape from the surface of the liquid in the form of vapor, right? Thus, the first moving particle or the molecules of a liquid are constantly escaping from the liquid to form the vapor or gas. That is why evaporation can take place at any temperature. But what is the condition? The latent heat of vaporization must be supplied. Okay. Now you can see there are some factors which will affect our evaporation process. Now let us know what are the condition or what are the factors that affect our evaporation. So first one is temperature. Second one is surface area. Third one is humidity. And last one is wind speed. Now we will know how these four factors will affect evaporation process. First one is temperature. You can see the rate of evaporation increases on increasing the temperature of the liquid. So there is a direct relation between the evaporation and temperature. The rate of evaporation will increase if we increase the temperature of the liquid. In other words, the rate of evaporation of a liquid increases on heating. So in our earlier classes I have already said you that we can increase the temperature by heating. So whenever we are heating any substance, that means we are increasing the temperature of the liquid, we are increasing the temperature of the substance. Okay, so what happens whenever we are adding temperature or whenever we are increasing the temperature? What do you think, the kinetic energy will be decreased or increased? Obviously it will increase. Okay, so now the liquid particle, more liquid particle will have greater kinetic energy than the average kinetic energy of the liquid particles, right? That means there will be sufficient kinetic energy, more than sufficient kinetic energy, if we are continuously increasing the temperature. The liquid particle will have more than sufficient kinetic energy to overcome the strong intermolecular force of attraction between the liquid particles, right? So that is why whenever we are increasing the temperature, there will be increase in evaporation process also. Okay, that is written here. When the temperature of a liquid is increased by heating it, more particles of the liquid get enough kinetic energy. That word is important. Enough kinetic energy to go into the vapor state. This increases the rate of evaporation. And how this enough kinetic energy helps us to make faster evaporation, I have discussed. That is, whenever we have enough, whenever the particles of liquid have enough kinetic energy, they can easily overcome the strong intermolecular force of attraction in liquid particles, and that is how evaporation process will be faster. So that is how temperature helps us to increase evaporation process. Okay. Next one is surface area of the liquid. See, the rate of evaporation increases on increasing the surface area of the liquid. So again, evaporation is directly proportional to the surface area of the liquid. If we increase the surface area of the liquid, evaporation process will be faster, right? So if the surface area of a liquid is exposed to air, what will happen? The rate of evaporation of the liquid will increase, right? So this is also very important. The rate of evaporation increases on increasing the surface area of the liquid. So if the surface area of the liquid is exposed to the air is increased, the rate of evaporation of the liquid increases. Suppose you are having some food, okay, but you have your classes after 5 minutes, but the food is too hot that you can't eat faster, right? So what you will do, you will try to cool it, right? You will sit under the fan and you will try to eat faster, right? So here also happens the same thing. Whenever your food is hot, so your food needs more air to become cool, right? So you are sitting under the fan and your food will get cooler faster, right? And suppose the same thing you are doing, but if now at this time you have taken a large bowl, okay, so what will happen? In which case the food will become cooler faster? Obviously for second case, right? Whenever you have taken a larger bowl, what will happen? There is a large surface area, or the surface area will become increased. So whenever the surface area is increasing, I must say that your food is something liquid, okay? So whenever whenever the surface area is increased, what will happen? Evaporation process will become faster, right? So the liquid will convert into vapor faster. So what will happen? Your food will become cooler faster as compared to the first case. Okay, so that is how we can do faster evaporation by increasing the surface area. Okay, here you can see an example is also given here. You can see that if the same liquid, suppose water, is kept in a test tube and in a china dish, then the liquid kept in the china dish will evaporate more rapidly because more of its surface area is exposed to air. Okay, so there is another example also. Test tube is a very small area, right? It is a very small, it has very small surface area, right? Have you ever seen test tube? I think if you have, test tube looks something like this. It looks like this. Okay, and suppose you have taken a dish. So now you can imagine where the surface area is greater. Obviously in this case the surface area is greater. So whenever you have taken hot water in china bowl or this type of bowl, it will become cooler faster, right? So here evaporation process will be faster, evaporation process will become too fast here, but here evaporation process will be slower as compared to this dish. Okay, so that is how higher surface area of the liquid helps us to increase the evaporation process. Okay, now our next point is humidity of air. Now let's see how humidity of air affects the evaporation process. See, when the humidity of air is too low, what do you think? Whether the evaporation will be higher or lower? Humidity is low. That means the evaporation rate will be higher. And water will evaporate more readily. Okay. So under this condition, sweat from our body evaporates readily and we feel cool and comfortable. So the wet cloths dry quickly under the condition of low humidity of air. But suppose if the humidity of air is too high, then what will happen? The rate of evaporation is low. So humidity of air is the case when evaporation is inversely proportional, right? So our evaporation process is inversely proportional to humidity of air. Whenever the humidity of air is very high, there will be low sublimation, and whenever the humidity of air is very low, then there will be very high rate of sublimation, evaporation. So when there is low humidity, there will be high evaporation, and whenever there is high humidity, there will be low evaporation. Okay, so humidity of air and evaporation process is inversely related. Now we can see the wet cloths quickly dry under the condition of low humidity of air. Why? Because when the humidity is low, that means at that time evaporation process will be faster, right? As evaporation process will be faster, so the water from our dresses will be vaporized faster, so our dress will become dry, right? So the wet cloths dry quickly under which condition? Under low humidity of air. Okay, but when the humidity of air is very high, then what will happen? Evaporation process will be slower, right? And as evaporation process is low or slower, the water evaporation will become very slow, so our wet cloths will take too much time to become dry, right? Now you can understand why during now you can understand why during rainy season our dress takes too much time to become dry, because during rainy season the humidity of air is too high. Or suppose the later part of summer, what happens? The humidity of air is too high, right? So due to this high humidity in air, our dress will take too much time because evaporation process will slow. So that is why during rainy season our dress takes too much time to become dry, right? And this is also the reason behind our sweating, right? You can see here in the later part of summer the humidity of air increases. People sweat a lot in such weather, but the sweat from our bodies doesn't evaporate readily because there is a high humidity of air, right? You might have noticed this thing, but till today you should, I think you didn't know the reason, but now you know the reason, so you can understand why these things happen, right? So why we becomes too much sweaty during summer, why we have too much sweat during summer, right? This is the reason, this is the cause of high humidity of air, due to which there is a very low evaporation of our sweat, and that is why they takes too much time to evaporate and they do not readily evaporate, right? And that is why such weather becomes too much damp and we feel hot and uncomfortable. Okay, but during winter what happens? Winter means there is very low humidity in air, right? Low humidity means faster evaporation. So whenever we do some workout during winter, you will see that your sweat has vanished faster as compared to summer or rainy season, because the humidity is low, and due to low humidity what happens? Evaporation of sweat becomes faster and we feel free or we feel comfortable. Okay, so that was the reason how we can feel so much uncomfortable during rainy season or during summer, and how we feel sweatless during winter. Okay, so now we will know how wind speed can affect the evaporation process. The fourth point was wind speed. Okay, here you can see the rate of evaporation of a liquid increases with increasing the wind speed. That is why whenever our food is too hot, what we try to do? We try to sit under fan, right? So wind speed actually do what? It actually increases the rate of evaporation and helps to become cooler. Okay, so here you can see the rate of evaporation of a liquid increases with increasing wind speed. When the speed of the wind increases, what happens? The particles of water vapor move wind. Okay, so whenever we are applying wind or whenever there is a high speed of wind, the particles of water vapor moves away with the wind and decreases the amount of water vapor in the surrounding. This increases the rate of evaporation. Okay, so what the wind does, the speed of wind increase as you increase the speed of wind, what happens? The particles of water vapor move away with the wind, right? That is why we need very high speed fan during summer season, right? Because as high the speed of wind or as high will be the as high speed the fan will have, the faster the evaporation of the sweat will happen and we will feel relaxed. Okay, so that is the reason. Whenever the speed of the wind increases, the particles of the water vapor move away with the wind, and as a result of that, the amount of water vapor decreased in the surrounding, and this increases the rate of evaporation of water. Okay, so now you can see the washed wet clothes dry more quickly on the windy day because evaporation is faster due to high speed of the wind. I think now we know the reason why the washed wet clothes get quickly dry on a windy day. Okay, so here is the science behind that. Okay, now I think you have you have come to know a lot of things regarding our daily, uh, regarding our day-to-day experience, right? Why we feel too much uncomfortable, or too much why we have too much sweat during summer, or why we feel uncomfortable during rainy season, why our dress takes too much time to become dry during rainy season, and why our dress takes why we feel comfortable during winter. That is why we don't have sweat during winter. Okay. And why our dress becomes become quickly dry on a windy day. I hope now you can give a scientific reason of all that experience, right? Now we will know about the cooling due to evaporation. Why evaporation causes cooling? Okay, so our next heading is cooling caused by evaporation. See, we have already studied about how liquid evaporate. Okay, and we also know that we must supply the latent heat of vaporization in order to evaporate, right? The cooling caused by evaporation is based on that fact that whenever a liquid evaporates, it draws the latent heat of vaporization. But we know whenever latent heat of vaporization is drawn away, what happens? The substance become cooler, right? We also have come to know about two examples in our last class. What were they? One was this one. I said 0 degree centigrade is more effective in cooling of a substance than water at 0 degree centigrade. And another one was when water changes into steam, it absorbs latent heat. So one example was our body gets burned under what? Under 100 degrees centigrade vapor, but not under 100 degrees as compared to 100 degrees centigrade water, right? So these were the example of latent heat, how latent heat affects, or how latent heat actually takes away or gives away heat. Okay. However, now we will discuss cooling caused by evaporation. So now you can understand cooling is also due to this latent heat of vaporization. Okay. So whenever evaporation is taking place, we have to supply latent heat of vaporization. And the cooling caused by the evaporation is based on that fact that whenever any liquid evaporates, it actually draws the latent heat of vaporization from anything which it touches. What does it mean? Suppose you are sitting under fan and the weather is too much hot, and the weather is disgusting. So what happens? You're sweating very rapidly, right? And you have increased the speed of fan. Or rather, you are in a AC room, so you will not even feel you're sweating, right? So what will happen? Evaporation will occur whenever you are increasing the temperature, whenever you are increasing the speed of the fan, or whenever you are increasing the speed, whenever you are increasing the speed of the fan, etc, etc. So what will happen? It will subsequently increase the sublimation, evaporation, right? So whenever evaporation takes place, what happens? We know that evaporation needs what? Latent heat to vaporize. To form vapor from water, it needs latent heat. And from where it will snatch the latent heat? It will snatch the latent heat from any substance which it touches. So whenever our sweat is becoming vapor or whenever it is vaporizing, what does it do? It simply takes latent heat from our body. That is why our body temperature decreased. So we'll feel relaxed whenever we sit under fan with a sweating body. Okay, so that is how cooling caused by evaporation. Okay, is it clear now? Okay, so what happens due to this latent heat of evaporation, latent heat of vaporization, liquid particles take the latent heat of vaporization from the substance which it touches and becomes a vapor, and that is how the substance becomes cool. Okay, now we can see there is an example. See, if we put a little of spirit, ether or petrol, at the back of our hand and wave it around, what we will feel? We'll feel that our hand is little bit cold, right? Why? Because whenever we're waving around the spirit, what happens? It will evaporate rapidly or very fast. And for its evaporation, what does it need? It needs latent heat of vaporization. So from where it will collect the latent heat of vaporization? Simply from our body, right? And due to this one, our body will feel cold. Okay, or our hand will feel cold, right? So this is the reason behind that. See, here you can see, if we put a little of spirit at the back of our hand and wave it around, the spirit evaporates rapidly and our hand feels very cold. This is due to the fact that to change from liquid to vapor state, this is important, to change from liquid to vapor state, spirit requires latent heat of vaporization, as I have already said, and the spirit takes the heat of vaporization from our hand and the hand loses heat and gets cooled. So that is the reason behind this experience. Okay, and here is also another example. During hot summer days, water is usually kept in an earthen pot. So this may be a question. Why during hot summer day we keep water in an earthen pot? And earthen pot is also known as pitcher or matka. Okay, there was a huge use of matka or pitcher during ancient days. Till now we also use them during summer days. Okay, during hot summer days, water is usually kept in matka or pitcher to keep it cool. Now we have to know what is the reason behind that. There is no superstition that if we keep water in pitcher, it will become cool. That is not like that. There is no superstition. There is a scientific logic behind that. Okay, so let us see what is the reason behind that. See, the earthen pot has a large number of little pore or hole. So there is a large number of pore on its wall, in its walls. So what will happen? Some of the water continuously keep sipping through these pores, right, to the outside of the pot, and this water will evaporate. That is, it will change into vapor. So from where the water will collect the temperature, the water particle, the water will collect the latent heat of vaporization from the rest of the water, right? And that is how there is a cool water in pitcher or matka even during hot summer days. So this is the scientific reason behind using pitcher or matka during summer days, to keep our water cool. Okay, so I am repeating it again. In earthen pot, there is a lot of small pores in its wall, and due to this, some water continuously keeps sipping through these pores to the outside of the pot, and this water will become evaporate. That is, it will change into vapor continuously, and it takes the latent heat of vaporization which is required to form the to form the vapor from the water, it will take it from the earthen pot and also from the remaining water in the earthen pot. Okay, so that is how the remaining water loses its loses its heat and gets cooled. So this is also an example of cooling caused by evaporation. So today we have learned about two examples of it. One is the experiment of keeping spirit on our back hand, on the back of our hand. Another one is why we keep water in pitcher or mudka during summer days. Okay. Now we can see at many places, especially in villages, people often sprinkle water on the ground in front of their homes during summer evenings. Now the question is why? Because the water evaporates by taking the large latent heat of vaporization from the ground and also from the surrounding air. So what will happen? The ground and the surrounding air will lose its temperature by losing its heat, right? And the place will become subsequently cool and also comfortable. So there is very scientific knowledge behind our this type of things. Okay, now we can see water vaporizing from the leaves of the trees also cools the surrounding air. That is why that is how plants helps us to maintain the temperature of our earth. Okay, so this is the scientific reason. This is due to evaporation. Due to the vaporization of the leaves on the tree, it will cool the surrounding air, right? That is how you feel relaxed whenever you stand under a tree. Okay, now you can see sweating is our body's method of maintaining a constant temperature. Okay, so whenever you have too much sweat, remember it is a process of our body to maintain a constant temperature, right? On a very hot day or after doing some workout or some physical exercise, our body temperature tends to rise too much. Okay, because we have done some workout or we have we are in a very hot day, so our body temperature suddenly increases, and then our sweat glands give out moisture or the sweat on our skin, and our skin does what? Our skin evaporates the moisture or sweat. So when this sweat evaporates, it takes the latent heat of vaporization from our body, right? And this keeps our body cool. So now we can understand how evaporation or how sweating helps our body to maintain a constant temperature. So this is another question: how our body maintains a constant temperature by sweating. You know the reason now, right? Okay, now we can see there is another example. We should wear cotton clothes in hot summer days to keep cool and comfortable. Why? There is also scientific reason. This can be explained as follows. We all know that we get a lot of sweat on our body in hot summer days, right? Now do you know that cotton is a very good absorber of water? As cotton is a very good absorber of water, so what it does, it absorbs the sweat from our body and exposes it to the air or the atmosphere for evaporation, right? So the evaporation of this sweat cools our body. But if you have wear a synthetic cloth, which is actually made of polyester, you have also said you about esters, right? Polyesters in the topic in the chapter, most probably fibers and plastic, right? So you know what are polyester and how they are used in making synthetic cloths, etc. Now the matter is, the synthetic cloths do not have the capability to absorb that much of sweat. because their absorption power is lesser as compared to the cotton dresses. Okay, so what they will do, they will fail to keep our body cool, right? Because they can't help us to evaporate our sweat by absorbing the sweat. Okay, so it is much comfortable if you wear a cotton dress in summer. Okay, so we have also learned that. Now you can see a fan increases the rate of evaporation of sweat or moisture from our skin and makes us feel cool and comfortable. And AC also does the same thing. Now we can see the cooling in a desert room. Cooler is caused by the evaporation of water. Okay. So the cooling in a desert room cooler is caused by the evaporation of water. A desert cooler cools better on a hot and dry day because the higher temperature on a hot day increases the rate of evaporation of water. So that is how desert room cooler helps us in cooling. Okay, and as the evaporation of water increased, what will happen? We know the air will become cooler, right? So that is written here. The cooling in a desert room cooler is caused by the evaporation of water. Okay, a desert cooler cools better on a hot and dry day because the higher temperature, what we have already said, that higher temperature helps to increase evaporation process. That is the rate of evaporation increases on increasing the temperature of the liquid. So whenever there is a high temperature, our cooler will work properly, or it will work faster, or it will work better, because what will happen, is, under the high temperature in a hot day, the rate of evaporation of water will increase, and the dryness of air also increases the rate of evaporation of water, and due to this increased rate of evaporation of water, the room will become cooler. Okay, so this is the reason behind that. Okay, now here you can see it is a common observation that we are able to sip hot tea faster from a saucer than from a cup. Okay, because whenever you are drinking the tea or milk in a container which have large surface area, there will be faster evaporation, as and I have also given you an example before. So this can be explained as follows. Saucer has a large surface area. Due to the large surface area of the saucer, what will happen? Evaporation process will be faster, as we already know that large surface area helps in faster evaporation. So the evaporation of the hot tea or milk or hot drink from the saucer is faster, and this faster evaporation cools the hot tea more quickly, making it convenient for us to drink it. So whenever we are in hurry, we can apply these tricks also, right? Now you see, to show the presence of water vapor in air, there is always some water vapor in the air surrounding all around us, but we can't see the water vapor, right? Now how we can show the presence of water vapor in air? There is an experiment also for that, where you can see the amount of water vapor in air keeps on changing. Water vapor comes into the air from the evaporation of water present in ponds, lakes, rivers and oceans. So water vapor is also given out by plants by the process of transpiration. What is the process transpiration? Transpiration is nothing but evaporation from leaves, right? Animals also give out water vapor when they breathe out air, right? Land also gives water vapor on being warmed by the sun. So where does all this water vapor goes? all the water vapor goes into the air around us. And now we will describe an experiment to demonstrate that water vapor is present in the air. So there is an experiment. Okay, now we can see this is the experiment to show the presence of water vapor in air. This is a still container, and with a large number of tiny drops of water. From where these drops of water will come out, we will know. And in this container we have taken crushed ice. Now let's read the experiment. See, the presence of water vapor in air can be shown by the following experiment. We take a steel tumbler and put some well crushed ice into it. Wipe the tumbler from outside with a piece of clean dry cloth so as to make its outer surface completely dry. So what we have to do, we have to make a dry surface of it. Okay. Now what we will do, we will allow the ice containing steel tumbler to stand undisturbed for about 5 minutes. Okay. A large number of teeny drops of water will appear on the outer surface of steel tumbler. So there is a surprising thing, because we have made a dry outer surface, completely dry outer surface of the tumbler, but from where this water droplets has come? This is the question, right? So now we can see this happens as follows. The air around the tumblers contains water vapor in it, right? And when this water vapor come in contact with the cold surface in the steel tumbler, that is a crushed ice, due to this crushed ice, the water vapor will be what? Condense. They will condense, because we know the process condense is to form from vapor to liquid by lowering the temperature. We have discussed about that, right? What is condensation? Right? Here you can see condensation process. So we know what is condensation. So applying this trick, we can understand that our air also contains the water vapor. Okay. So they condense to form teeny drops of water, teeny drops of liquid water. So the formation of drops of water on the outside surface of a tumbler containing a crushed ice shows that the presence of water vapor in air. Okay, very simple experiment. You can also do this at your home. Okay, now we will know about two more states of matter. One is plasma and one is Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, see, plasma is a mixture of free electrons and ions. It is a fourth state of matter. We are very aware of the three states of matter. One is solid, one is liquid, and another one is gas. And plasma is a mixture of free electron and ions, and it is considered as the fourth state of matter. These two states are not that much important at this stage, but we have to simply know the name. Okay, one is plasma and one is Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay, see, plasma occurs naturally in the stars, okay, including our sun. Inside the star, what happens? The temperature is very, very, very high, and at this very high temperature, what happens? Atoms break up. Okay, and some of the electrons break away from the atoms and convert the rest of the atoms into electrically charged particles. Have you heard about ions? What are ions? Ions can be formed by taking away electron or by giving electron to an atom. Okay, one is cation and one is anion. Whenever you are adding electron to any atom, it becomes anion or negatively charged. And whenever you are taking away electron from any atom, it becomes positively charged. And this is known as cation. Okay. So, however, whenever at this very high temperature, electron comes out of the atom or electron break away from atoms, they convert the rest of the atom electrically charged. And this is known as ions, called ions. Okay, and this mixture of free electron and ion, more precisely we should call it cation, in a star is called plasma. So it is the fourth state of matter which is generally shown in stars. Okay. See, the sun and other stars glow because of the presence of plasma in them. So now we know the reason behind that. Due to the plasma, and what is plasma? Plasma is a mixture of free electron and ions. And due to plasma, the sun and other stars can glow. Okay, so this is very important. Now see, plasma can also be made on Earth. How we can make plasma on Earth? We can make it by passing electricity through gases. What will electricity do? Electricity will make the gas ionized, okay, at very low temperature. So what we have to do? We have to pass electricity through gases at very low pressure, taken in a glass tube, and this type of glass tube is known as discharge tube. Okay, this plasma makes a fluorescent tube to glow. So what is fluorescent? Fluorescent means something glowing. Okay. Now we can see Bose-Einstein condensate. In 1920, an Indian scientist or Bengali scientist, S.N. Bose or Satyendranath Bose, did some calculation on the fifth state of matter. Okay. See, during 1920 and now we are in 2021, almost 101 years ago. He did some calculation on fifth state of matter, and on the basis of this calculation, Albert Einstein predicted the existence of a new state of matter called Bose-Einstein condensate. Why this is Bose-Einstein? Because both S.N. Bose and Einstein discussed over the thing. Okay. It's known as Bose-Einstein condensate. Actually, S.N. Bose discovered the thing and he sent his paper to Albert Einstein. And that is how it is Bose-Einstein condensate or BEC. See, the fifth state of matter is called Bose-Einstein condensate, was finally achieved by three scientists. One is Cornell, one is Catherine, and one is women of USA by cooling a gas of extremely low density to super low temperature. Okay, so what we need? Very low density, about 100,000 the density of normal air. So you can see very low temperature to super low temperature. Okay, so that is all about the other state of matter. One is plasma and one is Bose-Einstein condensate. So here our chapter gets completed. Okay, so from Friday we will start on another topic. Now if we have any doubt, if you face any doubt in this chapter what we have taught today, and also about our last class, if you have any doubt you can contact me anytime. Okay, so we're ending our class here.